Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, shall I say. It's so good to see so many of you on the call this evening. We do have some people who are traveling, so they will not be able to join us. I actually have some of them who are going to try to multitask and join us as well while they're traveling. But just in case someone could not be in attendance this evening or this afternoon, rather, this meeting is being recorded. And if all goes as planned for the recording, sometimes they don't, but if all goes as planned, we'll at least have this digital version of the meeting. And of course, we'll have the slide deck that I can send out after the meeting as well. So we've got some people steadily coming in the room. I'm going to go ahead and get started um, just so that we can make sure to honor your time this afternoon. Welcome to year one meeting of the Master of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. We are delighted to have you as part of our program in whatever capacity that you are participating. If you are a candidate, thank you for joining this adventure with us. You are in the thick of the spring semester right now, so I know you're definitely feeling what it means to be a graduate student. And if you are a graduate professor or you're part of the graduate committee, thank you so much for serving in that capacity. If you are a site mentor, we are absolutely thrilled that you are partnering with us and with your mentee on this very important work. So let's go ahead and get started for this evening. As I mentioned, you are at a pivotal time. So the reason that we like to have these regular meetings, and we don't try to do it too much because we really want to honor this being an online program, but we want to make sure that we take time to pause and that we recalibrate and that we review critical information about the program expectations, about coursework, about the mentor relationships. Those will become even more important as you progress through the program. And how we can intentionally make sure that we are building the skill set necessary to not just become really effective in our assignments, but to make sure that we're transferring those into becoming leaders in our field. So we want to make sure that we clarify, that we align, and that we provide some encouragement for you. We want this to be a true touch point this evening. If it's okay with you, I'm going to keep my slide deck like it is. I want to make sure that I'm doing okay on my timeline. And if I can see my slide deck over here on the side, it helps me to kind of keep going. So I'm going to keep that slide deck up here. For the next portion of it, I'd like to take a little bit of time for some introductions. That can be a very valuable time for all of us to put some names to faces since it is an online program. And for those of you who perhaps are considering graduate committee, things like that, this may help you to put, broaden the possibilities of who you could potentially ask to be as part of your committee. So as I mentioned earlier, I am Dr. Lori Benoit, and I am stepping into this role in a new capacity. I am the program coordinator for the Masters of Education program, and I will be serving as your advisor from here on out throughout your program. I have had the privilege of teaching many of you in our undergraduate program, and I was so excited to see the names again and some of the faces that I'm going to get to spend time with moving forward. I currently teach Education 690 here in the graduate school. It is practicum in curriculum and instruction. I've absolutely loved this course. It's a course which allows you to begin building those foundational skills that you're going to develop further in your action research project. I also teach the series of courses which align with the academically gifted concentration. I have been fortunate to be part of graduate committees here and at other universities, and I'm passionate about empowering education leaders to use action research to make meaningful change in their classrooms, in their schools, in their districts, and in their communities. I will serve as your advisor for the remainder of the program. So if you have any programmatic questions, which I'll address this at the end, please make sure that you bring those to me. Even if I don't know the answers, I promise you I will be diligent in seeking them for you and providing the most current information that's going to be helpful and meaningful to you in your program. So our dean is Dr. Jan Robichaux. She's going to be joining us a little bit later. She had a meeting that's ending before she's able to join us. So she'll join us a little bit later. She's excited to greet you. And some of our graduate faculty are actually here with us tonight. Thank you so much. Because this is my first meeting to have like this, I did not even include them in the invitation. So that was my oversight. I'm so sorry about that, friends. Those of you who were able to make it here on such short notice, we appreciate it. And for those of your professors that you don't see here, please understand that it's simply because they didn't know about it. They weren't able to make the change in time. It's not because they didn't want to be here. So if you could, those of you who are in attendance, come off and share a little bit about yourself, the courses that you teach, and maybe some of the roles, graduate committee and things like that, that you serve in currently. Dr. Harvey, you're first in my little list. So if you don't mind, if you could come off and be first.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here and see some familiar faces. I teach a couple of graduate courses. My content area is literacy. That's my main focus. But I also serve as sometimes a committee member or chair of a committee. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Leverton, you're next in my list. Could you come off and say hello?
Sure. All of you lovely candidates met me in 603. Make sure my microphone was working. Sorry. Met me in 603. You will be with me again in 601 as you start your research, and in 699, your final research piece, as well as when you complete your comps exam, which is the culmination of your research. It's not an extra thing to worry about. The other courses I have taught in the grad level program were special education. They're not offered in this catalog, so none of you will get to take me for those. But that's about it.
Thank you so much. Next, I have Dr. Jowers.
Hi, Dr. Jowers. Undergrad, early childhood education, really focused. I am this semester was invited to serve on the MAT review committee. Um, Nervous. Dr. Fairchild focuses on EL. She actually has class right now, so she couldn't come to this, but her focus is mainly EL, and I think she does some of the grad level classes too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she does as well. And Dr. Simpson is in the same boat. She sends her regards. She teaches our educational technology courses. And Dr. Leverton, if I'm not mistaken, she's pivotal in the research courses as well.
Yes, she is basically the first half of your project when
Yeah.
you're proposing your research and getting IRB approval. You work with her on that, and then she hands you off to me to analyze your data.
Yes. So, of course, there are many others who couldn't make it here this evening, but they send their regards and they will be able to see you throughout the program. Um, let's go ahead and introduce yourselves. We have a little bit of time. We're doing okay on our time. And I am going to cold call you, and I'm going to call you in the order that I see you on my screen just to make sure I don't miss anybody. And also, it avoids that awkward of like who's going to come off mute first situation. So if I mispronounce your name, could you please correct me when you come off mute, first of all? And second of all, if you aren't labeled and I say like, I will do my best to remember who you are. My very first one isn't labeled. It just says iPhone. And I think you're so diligent, you're in your car. So thank you for joining us. I don't think you're driving though. I think you're pulled over. So I'm going to let you go ahead and come off mute. Is it, I can't see clearly because of the way my screen is, but oh, she might be on a cell phone here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I think it's Raven.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I had to figure out where my mute was. Yes. I'm Raven Home. My concentration is literacy. 5. So we got my kids in here, but I mean that's about it for me.
Thank you so much.
Nice to
And
see y'all.
thank you. I know it's such a busy time. Thank you so much. I think that your introduction epitomizes the juggle that everybody is feeling in grad school. So you're not alone. And I hope that just that introduction alone lets everybody know you're not alone. Claire, you're the next one.
Hi, I'm Claire Claymont. My concentration is in transformational teaching and learning, and I'm enjoying all the ed tech learning.
Awesome. So happy to have you in the program. Let's see. Hannah Markentale, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why it doesn't show my last name up there. I'm Hannah Markentel. My concentration is academically gifted, and I'm a senior privileged student, so I'm in my last semester of residency.
Woo! Can we all say, man, that's a juggle. Congratulations, Hannah, though. You are getting so close to graduation yourself. So that's fantastic. Let's see. Next is Maddie Youngblood.
Hi, I'm Maddie. My concentration is transitional teaching and learning, and this is my first year of teaching.
Woohoo! And next we've got Jessica Danielle. Thank you. I know you're driving today as well. If you can't come off, it's okay, but it looks like you might be in a place that you can talk.
Hi, I don't know if this is working. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Hi. Okay. Hi, my concentration is in English learners. This is my 16th year in education. I work in Jeff Davis Parish. I see a lot of familiar faces in this group because we took classes together last semester, and I really appreciate the support that we have in our program, and I look forward to continuing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And Maggie Taro.
Hey, my
Long time no
name's
see.
I know, I know. My name's Maggie. I am in the academically gifted concentration. I'm here with my mentor, who is also my academically gifted teacher. So full circle. And I know, and I'm so excited to do all the things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let's see. Next, I have Courtney Caesar.
Hello, everyone. My name is
Hello.
Courtney Caesar. I currently teach first grade at Dalby. Since I graduated from McNeese, this is where I have been for the past 7 years. And I've really enjoyed learning about the academically gifted classes. I've been taking what I've learned there into my classroom, so I really enjoyed it so far.
Doing a great job as well, I've got to say. Shout out. My AG people are pretty awesome. Okay, and now let's see. I hope I haven't missed anybody. I have 3 more, and you guys do not have your cameras on, which is totally fine. I'm going to say your name and pause just a little bit to give you an opportunity to come off if you're able to. But if you're not, it's not a problem at all. We have Hannah Lafargue. She is also a senior privileged student doing her residency work right now. So she may not be able to come off. Oh, she is.
Hi.
There she is.
I'm sorry. I just got done tutoring and I checked my email and I also got observed today.
Whoa, what a day. Big day.
Right. And I'm on the way to urgent care. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, big day, Hannah. Big day. Well, don't worry, Hannah. I am recording this meeting, so at any time that you have to go, I'll be able to send you the recording.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My name is Hannah Lafargue. This is my last semester of student teaching. I am student teaching at Kinder Elementary in Allen Parish, and my concentration is transformational teaching.
Thanks, Hannah.
So, yeah.
And you're doing a great job, just like the other Hannah. You guys are almost there. Hold on.
Home stretch.
I know, home stretch.
Right.
And then we've got Aislinn. Pretium, I think Pretium. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly.
Yes, ma'am. It's Aislinn.
Great.
Yes, but I am also a senior privileged student.
Whoop,
I'm
whoop.
at Lacassine in third grade,
Aw,
and my concentration is content literacy.
love it. Getting so close for you as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we
Dr.
have,
Benwell, can I say something real quick?
yes, absolutely.
I just want to tell Asa, I haven't talked to her since she started residency, but I've heard so many great things about your residency. Very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
You can tell that it's very full circle for us when we get to see you guys in this space. You're already showing that leadership potential in undergrad work in your residency, and then it's so cool full circle when we get to see you again when you shine in this area. So, as Dr. Jowers said, yeah, we know you guys are bright lights in the field, and we're cheering you on. We're so proud of you. So, and then I'm going to let I think there's only one left, and it's going to be one of our awesome mentors, Miss McFarland. If you can, I don't know if you can come off or not.
We're
Well,
together.
I can on Maggie's. We put it up on my
I
Promethean
see you
and
now.
didn't realize there was no camera.
I see you. I see you now. Okay.
So, hey, I'm
Yes.
Andy McFarland.
Yes. Andy wears many hats here in the department. She has been a professor for us, teaching classes before. Andy is a rock star in the field. She also teaches an educators rising class at Sulphur, the largest course that we have in our partnership cohort that we have. So this is what we're talking about when we say that we try to connect you with experts in the field. This is what we're talking about. So, and for those of you mentors who weren't able to be here tonight, don't worry, we're videoing it for you so you can catch all the good stuff as well. All right, did I miss anybody? Just making sure that I didn't have somebody. All right, great. So let's go ahead and very quickly, we're going to talk about our agenda for this evening. At this point in the program, you have now you're transitioning beyond that initial phase where you're kind of adjusting, you're getting used to things. Some of you, it's not been that long since you were a student yourself. In fact, some of you, as we mentioned, are using senior privilege. So you're kind of in the routine. Graduate classes might just have been a little bit more intense, a little bit more reading, a little bit more work, that sort of thing. Others of you, it might have been a while since you were a student. So you had that adjustment phase. Now, at this point, you should understand the pace, the expectations, the rigor of the work. And term two is where we really begin to see a shift from being sort of consumers of information, where you're doing some kind of basic application, to actually producers. In many of those big projects now, we're asking you to really step into the role of being a contributor and a producer in your field. You're being asked to think very critically, write more analytically, and engage more intentionally with research. This is the part where those habits of practice really matter. Organization matters. Professionalism and communication matters. The expectations are increasing because your capacity is increasing. So when you see projects and it feels like a lot, remember, one bite at a time. You have proven over and over again with every small project leading up to this, every research assignment leading up to this, that you are capable and you can do it. So break it down one bite at a time. And we're going to give you some tips this evening and some things to look forward to as you move through the program. So we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of time to talk about the handbook because it's important. Initially, when you see the handbook, it's a lot. And we don't deny it's a lot. But what we do want now that you're in the program, we hope that you can see that it is comprehensive about all the aspects of our program, but it's not just a formality. It is your primary reference guide. The handbook includes policies, procedures, expectations, timelines, very important forms. If you ever find yourself unsure about a requirement, a process, a form, go to the handbook first. I also want you to notice the organization of the handbook. The general or the core program appears first. Then your program specific details are going to be located in the appendices portions as different parts of the appendix. That structure is intentional. It allows you to understand the broader graduate expectations before you can hone in on your specific concentration. Another important point is you are required to verify by signature that you are responsible for all components of the handbook. The verification is in Appendix R, and it is something that you would have done in the very beginning portion of your program. Again, it's not just a formality. It's because we want to make sure that you understand that many times the information that you're seeking, the guidance that you could have about what's coming up in the program, you actually already have access to it in that handbook. So we want you to know that it's probably there. It's just going to take a little bit of time to maybe break that down. And remember that in the handbook itself, the table of contents is interactive. So just click on what you need. Sometimes it's a lot to go through all the pages, but just click on the hyperlinks and go to what you need. If at any point you have questions or you need clarification, please ask me or ask your professor. We're here to support you. Professional growth includes taking initiative. And sometimes that means saying, I read the handbook over and over. I still can't find what I need. That's perfectly fine. It might be something that we're using an acronym for. You know how in education we love our alphabet soup. We might be using an acronym for it and you just don't know, oh, that's that form or that's that thing. And it's a simple little connection issue. So please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. We're here. Finally, the thing that I want to tell you is you must resubmit the site mentor information form. I'm going to actually have another slide about this. And at the end, in a post meeting email, I'm going to give you the link directly. We want this information digitized. And even if you have had no changes in your site mentor, please resubmit it. We want this stuff to be current and we do need it for our credentialing. So again, I just say the handbook isn't just paperwork. It's meant to be a tool for you to be able to use and empower yourself when you have questions or need guidance. It's not meant to be a burden. The comprehensive nature of it can feel overwhelming at first, but the more familiar you become with the program, the more familiar you become with the handbook and what you need in the handbook. The next piece, yes, Dr. Leverton.
And this Aislinn, Hannah Lafargue has already logged off. Aislinn, I know she listed a couple things there you were not familiar with because you just came in this semester. So just come see me. All righty. And we'll go over what you need to do to fill out those forms. Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Next, we are going to the site mentor handbook slide, that portion. Notice that the setup of this one is very similar. It is very comprehensive. It outlines expectations, responsibilities, and required documentation. The partnership of the mentor, between the mentee and mentor, should be intentional. It is supposed to be very purposeful in supporting the candidate as they become an extra educational leader. It is not intended to be something that merely takes place in conversations in the lounge or the hall. It should be much more structured than that. Do those things take place? Absolutely. But the point of the mentorship is to support what really should be a very structured relationship. First, one of the important things we want to note is that you are required to have 2 formal meetings. And when we say formal, this means documented meetings with your site mentor and submit the required documentation. I will be sending reminders about this as we get a little bit more in the semester. So I will definitely send a reminder about it. But it is located in Appendix J on page 52. These meetings should be purposeful, they should be documented, and they should be focused on the mentee's professional growth. It really shouldn't be, like I said, a quick check-in in the hallway. That's not it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something more intentional. Beyond the required meetings, we do expect you to be actively involved with the mentor. So, mentee, this is your opportunity to show that initiative. It should be collaborative and it should be ongoing. This includes making connections with stakeholders. Your mentor can help open doors, whether that means connecting you with instructional coaches, administrators, grade level teams, district personnel, sharing resources with you, simply sometimes talking through an assignment. All of these things can be very helpful for you. So make sure you take initiative early with your mentor and you express your interest in having a very active relationship with him or her. You should also be reviewing course projects with your mentor early in the semester, not the week they are due. At that point, your mentee might be limited in what he or she can bring to the table to be able to support and help you in the projects. When you share your ideas early, your mentor can help refine your thinking. They can ensure relevance to your school context. They can strengthen the practical application of your work. And many times they can make those pivotal stakeholder connections that you may not even have considered. Additionally, your mentor can be a valuable resource in sharing relevant literature, as I mentioned, and professional resources. So if you're exploring a topic, ask. Sometimes it can be as simple as shooting them an email or a text with what you're looking for and what your assignment is. So we know that both of you are very busy professionals. So lean into that digital communication to help you stay on track. Just don't do it at the last minute. Take initiative early on. The relationship needs to be a professional partnership. So the more proactive and engaged you can be as a mentee in self-advocating for your mentor's involvement, the more satisfaction you're going to have about the program, your work, and the relationship you're able to build with your mentor. So do any of my grad faculty want to chime in here or? All right. The next piece that we want to talk about is the Louisiana Leader Rubric. This is something that is part of our program. We're very proud that this is built into our program. This is a link that when you get this slide deck, I thought I had it opened already, but it appears that I don't. But it shows you how our coursework is aligned to support the standards that you would need for alternative certification or certification with the educational leadership. It is up here. There we go. And if you look down at the bottom, you can see that each program has its own tab. So simply click on that program and it breaks down not only the course, but it also is going to break down the specific standard, sometimes all the way down to the assignments. So this can be a very meaningful piece when you are trying to think about, okay, what am I doing in the program that I can actually also record? So our program major standards are intentionally aligned to Bulletin 125, which are the standards for educational leaders. And throughout the program, when you record your field experience, you will have an opportunity to strategically put down what it is that you're working on that would be aligned to that 240-hour portfolio that you submit as part of the requirements for becoming an Educational Leader 1 alternative pathway. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how that works. The reason that I mention it at this stage is because you are early enough in the program that for those of you who maybe this is not something that you're interested in right now, I recommend, however, that you are still very purposeful and strategic about keeping those hours documenting what you're doing in your field experiences, in your assignments, and how they're aligned. And each course details basically what you can count, but be very purposeful because you may change your mind. And if you change your mind, it's much easier to have been keeping up with that documentation as you go with your field experience hours than trying to put it together later. And it is why in many of our courses, most of our courses actually, we require it as part of the field experience for you. Because we know that that can be a very valuable thing to open doors for you if you want for certain types of leadership positions that you may want to have in the future. Any of my other grad faculty want to come off and speak to that? Let me just kind of throw out one thing, Dr. Leverton. I was actually speaking with Dr. Robichaud today, and this is something that, based on some of our previous data that we've collected from graduates, we might be doing a little mini session on what this is a little bit more and how to document it. Some of you have a really great understanding of it. Some of you don't really have a very good understanding of how to do it and document it. So this was something that we were talking about today that we might do a little mini session on and build that out for you so that you can understand you are actually doing a lot of the work. It's one of those things you just have to document it. And it would be the process of how to do it and the other pieces that you need to support your alternative certification there. So Dr. Leverton?
The only thing I wanted to add, because we're not quite to that second year yet, is when you get to your research courses, the 3 research courses, they have a reduced number of field experience hours embedded in the courses because they will align directly to your research project. Some will still fit for the 240 clock hours, like they'll still fit there, but it's research based. So like your data collection, so like if you look at the bulletin, if you see what those 240 clock hours look like, you do not want to bank on, okay, well, when I get to the end, every other course has had 20, I'll still have time to get, no. At the end, it is a very specific research focus, especially for 699 when you're collecting and analyzing data. So it all kind of falls under one item on that clock hours. That was it.
No, thank you. That's very important. Very important. So now what we're going to shift to is looking at the research sequence. So we're going to look at the courses that are coming up for you. I'm going to take a little bit of time and detail them. And then I'm also going to open it up. Dr. Leverton teaches in these courses. I'm going to lean into her insight for some of them. And she might even be able to give you maybe some tips and things as well. So we're going to start with looking at 601, which is term 3 coming up in summer for most of you in the program. During this term, your action research committee will be selected. This committee is intentionally structured and it can include, it's up to you, but it includes graduate faculty, your site mentor, and it actually can include a community member. In 601, you'll discuss this in more detail, but in some cases, there's an opportunity for a community member to be involved because they would be an expert on this panel. And you'll discuss this in more detail in 601. The committee is not symbolic. It's not just, you're not just pulling from a hat here. They are individuals who are there to support you, to challenge your thinking, and to ensure that your work is rigorous, relevant, and impactful. At this stage, the 601 stage, your literature review becomes critical. You move beyond simply collecting articles, actually into synthesizing research that's directly aligned to your concentration area and your identified problem of practice, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So you really need to be thinking, and this is where that mentor can really be valuable in helping you identify a relevant problem of practice within your concentration area. So the action research project needs to be grounded in real, authentic problems of practice. They're not hypothetical. It's not just theoretical. It should emerge from your school or district context and be connected to actual needs. You will be collecting data, real-time data. This means that your project is active, it's responsive, and it's grounded in your current professional setting. It's actually really exciting. And those of you who are like nerds, go ahead, raise your hand, embrace your nerdiness. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jowers. This is the part where all of the coursework, all of the reading, it comes alive for you. I'm going to use a metaphor to kind of help you understand it, because those of us who've done theses before and dissertations, it's a baby. It's your living, breathing thing that you are constantly pampering, you're constantly working on. It's Dr. Jowers is shaking her head. It is such a part of you. It becomes such a part of you. And it's the really exciting piece of the work. So this is coming up. 601 is where you get to jump into it. Most importantly, your project must directly apply to and align with student outcomes. And you'll discuss this a little bit more. This doesn't always necessarily mean rigid test scores. Students are multifaceted. What affects them is multifaceted. Social and emotional needs, different partnerships, different stakeholder needs can impact student outcomes. So that will be discussed in more detail in 601. This is where everything in the program, though, begins to converge. The research skills, the leadership competencies, collaboration with stakeholders, and your professional expertise. The research sequence is rigorous by design, but it is also one of the most meaningful components of the program, because it positions you not just as a graduate student, but as a change agent within your educational setting. 601 is going to set you up, so that's why it's so important to be diligent in these courses. It sets you up for 670, which is term 4 in the fall. At that stage, your action research becomes more formalized and more structured. The work that you begin conceptualizing in the previous term is going to move into chapters 1 through 3 of your study. Your topic must be concentration related. It must be mentor approved. That approval is essential because you really are going to need your mentor at this stage to help navigate these pieces. They're not doing the work at all, but the thought partnership that you're going to have, the resource partnership, is so very valuable. So this project is applied in nature. It must directly connect to your professional setting and address, as we said, that real problem of practice. By this point, your committee is finalized. Each committee member has defined responsibilities, and they are to review your work, provide feedback, ensure methodological rigor, support you through the research process, and then, of course, they will always be involved in those final pieces of each course. You submit a video presentation, and it allows the committee members to review your work thoughtfully and provide structured feedback. Following that, you will participate in a virtual meeting where a Q&A takes place. Be prepared to defend your thinking, explain your decisions clearly and confidently. And then at this stage is where IRB begins to come into place. This institutional review board process ensures that your research meets ethical standards. This is what makes it a real study. So instead of just, an idea or, like a tri-board project that you put up at the social studies, it's a critical professional responsibility, and you cannot actually collect data until you have that IRB approval. So all of this is where, again, it's intensifying more, but you can see how it's building. We definitely expect to see growth over time in your skills as a scholar practitioner. And the last one that I'm going to speak about, and then Dr. Leverton, I'm kind of cold calling you so you can wrap up anything that I missed or give some tips here. But Education 699 is in term 5, and you can see how these are all building. At that stage, your work focuses on chapters 4 and 5. These chapters represent your findings, data analysis, and conclusions. This is where your study really comes to life. Your project must remain concentration related, of course, as we mentioned before, and mentor approved. This is what we would consider the intervention phase. You are implementing the research-based strategy that you proposed. This is applied work within your real educational setting. You're not observing it. You're no longer doing literature review stuff. This is the intervention phase. You collect data, and then once you have that data collection, you are analyzing it. Sometimes that's an ongoing recursive, depending on your method that you select. It requires organization. It requires great attention to detail, incredible time management, and of course, integrity. Your analysis should clearly connect back to your research questions and demonstrate measurable impact tied to student outcomes or system improvement, or both. Then it's time for your final presentation. Your action research project is presented to your committee as your oral comprehensive exam. It's a significant professional milestone. It is your opportunity to demonstrate mastery of the research design, implementation, analysis, and then implications for the profession and for future practice. The presentation will be video, just like the previous courses was, and there will be a live Q&A session following. Be prepared to clearly articulate your rationale, defend your methodology, explain your findings, and discuss implications for leadership and future research. We want you to view this not as something to fear, but the reason we're showing you the sequence is we want you to understand that there has a lot of thought has been put into each step of this, so that when you do get to 699, you're prepared. You are ready, not just with the assignments, but the professional disposition that it takes to do this caliber, this high quality work. It represents the completion, but to us, and I might get teary here because I think about the people that we've seen on this side of it, it's not the end, it's like a launching for you. When you're in kind of the mix of the work, that imposter syndrome kind of comes in, and you kind of begin to doubt yourself, and you kind of begin to think like, am I even a good teacher? And then when you get to this part, if you've done it with integrity, if you've really put yourself into refining the skills necessary to do it correctly, there is such a professional confidence that comes through it, through the mountains and the valleys of doing this work, that when you leave the program, you feel very empowered to make change in your system, whether that's your classroom, whether that's your school, your community. And what we see for many people is personally, it empowers them. It goes beyond just our profession, but into some personal dispositions as well. That's what leadership is to us. And so, Dr. Leverton, if you could kind of, I know that you have, she's very embedded in these last 3 courses. So that's why I spoke about them. It's hard to talk about things that you have created and not sound like you're bragging, but she is really foundational in this. If you could, and then Dr. Jowers, I see you also have a contribution as well. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, mine will be super quick, Dr. Leviton. I just want to say from my experience of writing something to this magnitude, is that things change while you're writing it. Don't be discouraged if you're partway through the process and you feel like you need to make a pivot. That is actually probably what everybody does. I don't think anybody has ever started a project and ended it in the same way that they thought they were going to. It's okay to make those changes. You just be completely honest with your committee. And from being on your side of it, where I'm trying to figure out, how I'm going to get to the end goal, sometimes the committee has ideas and it may just not work for your passion. And that's okay too. You do have the autonomy to say, I don't really know if that's where I was trying to go with this. We're going to lead you the direction we think you're trying to head to, but sometimes we don't understand you. And so it is okay to be like, well, I actually was thinking this instead. Uh, so pivots are going to happen is really where I'm going.
Yes, great point.
And okay, so first, Dr. Benoit, thank you. Theoretical research was the term I could not think of yesterday to save my life. And guys, Dr. Jowers is very accurate, especially when you think about you're going to have a committee of 3 to 4 people, and every one of us will have our own perspective on what you're doing. We will all see it and likely process it differently. Do know that some things your committee may share may have to do with federal legislation and, things that you don't have wiggle room on. And at present, we are your experts on that. But as far as what you're trying to uncover or determine, when we start in 601, you are going to create a literature review. Half of what you come up with, you may not need in your final project, but it's going to guide you and help you to get where you want to be with that project. In 670, you're writing a proposal. That proposal is going to outline exactly who you think your sample population will be, who you think or how you think, well, we'll do interviews, we'll do surveys. Just in 670 alone, from the first 2 or 3 weeks until you turn into IRB may look totally different. Again, on the heels of what Dr. Jower said. I will stress that once you turn something into IRB, we are out of wiggle room. You are 100% fully committed to the path you are on. I've had students get to 699 where we do the data analysis, the data collection and analysis, and start freaking out. Because, well, I sent a survey to 4 different school districts and I got 11 responses. Guess what? That just means your sample size is 11. It does not negate your survey. And that's all things we will talk about in 699. But every single semester, I never think to front load that, guys, it's okay. So everyone always freaks out. You are not going to get the 200 people you send this survey to. You are not likely to get. I've not seen it happen. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, since for most of you, this is your first endeavor into this type of research. My doctoral dissertation, I had 13 as a sample size. It did not impact anything in a negative way, but I sure didn't plan on starting with that many or finishing with that many. So keep in mind that your committees are experts. They are here to answer your questions. But again, I'm just going to keep focusing on Dr. Jowers because that was such a well-stated concept there that we are not the one doing this study. You are. You may come to the end and your study may not produce what you had hoped for. That is part of this process. It is part of the learning process that is action research. Coolest thing about all of this is at the end, you are going to have something theoretically that you can actually apply, whether it's in your classroom, on your campus, or something that you can approach and say, hey, based on this, we might want to make a shift here. We might want to consider a change here. So that's it. I think that's all my words for this particular slide.
Thank you. Okay, so what we'd like to do now, and just for the sake of time, what we have for you here, and I'm going to show you, is this is a chart that shows the concentrations, and Dr. Leberton and I were going to explain some of these to you in detail. For the sake of time, we're not going to fully do that as much as we would have. We'll do little mini versions of it, and I'll go first. But we have also put titles. So slides 13, 14, and 15 have some titles that when you get this slide deck, go back and read those. And they kind of tell you a little bit about the range of research that some of our candidates have produced over the years. It's not all, it's not comprehensive, but it's some of them. I'm just going to briefly speak about the first one so that you can kind of understand what we're talking about with an action research study. this one was establishing best practices to meet the social and emotional needs of gifted learners. It became apparent to one of our candidates that she really wasn't sure. She taught in a secondary setting, and she really had never, she taught at level, a regular population of students. And although some identified gifted students were part of her population, she really never had any training at all on how to meet the needs of a gifted learner. And she certainly had no training whatsoever in social and emotional. So when she began to read about some of the things with the nuances of the social emotional needs of gifted learners, she began to see how some of those needs were directly tied to some of the behavior issues they were having on their campus with this population of students. So she did a survey of her teachers, and fortunately, she actually got a pretty decent sample size. It was just her campus, and because it was her and they knew her, they would participate. They did it like, so they did the survey, and this basically it was like a pretest to see what they knew about the social and emotional needs of gifted learners. So based upon that, she was able to see some tremendous gaps in the teacher's knowledge, which that's a problem. These are people who are every single day working with these students. She developed a guidance document for them, and she gave a 3-series PD, PLC that they could come. It was kind of like a lunch and learn kind of situation where she gave this to them. They were supposed to use some of the strategies for, I don't remember the time limit, but a certain amount of time. And then she gave a post survey to them. And she also did some interviews. And the outcomes of that were so strong that this guidance document now is being considered by that district as something that would be made available to all of their teachers. So this is what we're talking about. A problem of practice, identifying and collecting data that justifies it is a legitimate problem of practice, coming up with an intervention for it, and then collecting data at the end to see if that is transferable or applicable to other settings. So that kind of gives you a little idea of that one. Dr. Leberton, do you want to speak to one of either of those up there?
Actually, I can very quickly, I've got a couple of points that hit on both of them. They were both qualitatively designed projects, which means their data came from interviews, surveys that were coded after everything was collected. In the transformational teaching and learning with the private religious schools, their idea or their plan, once everything was said and done, was to take what was collected from those teacher surveys and for upper administration to have the ability to review those things. That these are things that are going to make your teachers stronger, happier, more productive, simply to work toward maybe initiatives for the teachers to engage more based on what they said, knowing their own workloads. On the SPED, it was again qualitative. Teachers were surveyed in relation to tech that was already being used in the classrooms to support their weaker students, not necessarily students classified with disabilities, but students who might not have been on that functional level of their placements even. And her end goal there was to come up with a fairly comprehensive list based on her sample size of things that had proven or were showing to be effective, working specifically with students with reading exceptionalities, including dyslexia. One thing I want to share here is when you do this project, one of the things you're asked to share is, why is this your passion? What drew you to this? And for her, she had a sibling that was dyslexic. Now her paper was not based solely on dyslexia, but that's what led her to dive into and begin that research, which she had actually done long before coming to being part of the MED program. This was something that was interest to her on a personal level, but when working with her mentor, she was able to say, oh, wait, this applies here. being in that classroom, she could see this could be applied here. And so for her, even though it started well before she ever got to the program, she was able to grow that into something beneficial to her school site and her school district. So that's kind of just to give you an overview. That's one of the tech and one of the sped.
Awesome, thank you. You can see how when we say it becomes your baby, this is what we're talking about. I mean, even years later now, we can speak to what those projects were, and they weren't even ours. But that's how much, it's like a breathing human being. So we've got some titles here that when I send the slide deck out, I recommend that you kind of browse through them. Again, it's not comprehensive, but it just gives you an idea. For the sake of time, we're going to skip to the next steps, which is housekeeping, and we just have a couple of slides here of things you need to consider. Don't worry about having to scan this right now. I'll be sending it in the follow-up email, so don't worry about that. But please make sure you review the handbook and recalibrate with it. You know more now, so it's not going to be as overwhelming. You're going to understand where your sections are. Update your site mentor information, even if there has been no change, using this digital form, which again, I'll send in the post email. Regularly check your email for end of term surveys and other required documentation that might be coming. So just make sure you regularly check your email at this point. The other thing you need to be thinking about, don't have to make the decision right now. It's not until term 5, but you need to be thinking about mentor teacher training 2, which was in term 5, the spring, which would be the semester that your final semester. It's discontinued. Therefore, you will select one of these electives to take the place of that discontinued course. You have to select one, of course, that you have not taken previously in your program. So, for example, most of you take 608, so that one you won't be allowed to take. Transformational teaching and learning does not, so it would be an option for you. However, these other two, you might not see them in your progression. So these are the 3 courses that you'll be allowed to pick from. See the handbook because it gives you full details of each one of these courses regarding the nature of the course, what you study, what the final project is, etc. Also, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to know more about any one of these. These are a couple of things that I'd like for you to remember as we transition into year 2. First, the expectations for academic writing are now expectations and enforced. So be very, very careful that you are using APA format to avoid any plagiarism, even that intentional slippery plagiarism that sneaks in with us. That's why we stress early on in the course about how important the academic writing is. When I send the post email about this, I'm actually going to include a video that Dr. Lebreton shared with me where that just reviews. It expands on what we have in our handbook on page 11. It really goes into detail about what each part of academic writing is. Make sure that you're actually synthesizing your sources, that every single claim is evidence-backed, not evidence regurgitated, that your writing is concise and it is in the correct APL style, and that it's well supported. AI should only be used as a thought partner, an idea generator. It is not a substitution for your critical thinking, and it is definitely not a substitution for your own written products. So a thought partner is great. An idea generator, just be careful. Be very, very careful about that. Some other professional habits of practice that now that you've seen the research sequence and what's coming up for you, you can understand we're not just telling you that these things are good ideas. They're going to be essential to produce quality work. You must have frequent communication with your advisor, your mentor, your professors. Those of you who might not be in the habit of checking your McNeese email or checking your email at all, that's something that you've got to do on a daily basis. You've got to become an email checker. Identifying areas of need and leveraging resources early in the semester, in the course, and the project. So for example, immediately go to what your big project for the semester is going to be for each course. Begin asking questions about it early. Begin talking to your mentor and your professor about it early in the course and identifying places where maybe you've got gaps in your understanding or in your resources. Abide by all due dates and deadlines. In order to do that, that does require working ahead. Sometimes those pitfalls that happen with technology, you know they're going to happen. So start early. Make sure you leave time for revision. Make sure you leave time for someone else to read over your work, the big projects especially, or to look at them before you have to turn them in. Seek feedback in informal and formal ways. Yes, your graded work is very important feedback, but that is only one piece of the feedback that you can receive. If you are not actively reading all of the feedback that your professors are giving you with discussion boards, with activities, take the time to actually read the feedback that they're giving you. And if you have questions about it, make sure you follow up and say, I didn't know really what you meant by this note. Be intellectually curious, be open-minded, stay diligent. You know that you've already started doing that you're in term 2. And then make sure that you're demonstrating leadership and integrity, not just in the program, but on your campus. Because remember, when it comes time to do your action research project, your peers, your colleagues, your principal, your counselors, you might be dependent on those people to get your work done. So you really don't want to be the person right now that they're having to wait on to enter grades. Okay, so I know I'm kind of getting to the nitty gritty when I say stuff like that, but I want it to really hit home for you about what we're talking about professional dispositions. And then lastly, you don't have to have all, the thoughts for your action research together at this point. That it is time to start narrowing down. In all of your courses, you've done a lot of activities, you've done a lot of reading. What is interesting to you? What do you want to explore more of? In your own educational setting, what do you see as a recurring issue? Begin to have those conversations with stakeholders, especially your mentor. So we are going to stop for Q&A here, and I just want to reiterate how excited I am to be starting this role and to be entering this partnership with you. Thank you for joining it this evening. Please reach out. Again, if I do not know the answers, I will make sure to include the relevant people who know more than I do about everything. And please be watching for further emails regarding upcoming surveys and assignments and tasks. If you have any specific questions about advising or programming, see me. I'll be reaching out pretty soon for spring advising. And then if you have questions regarding your courses or assignments, definitely follow up with the professor of those courses. So I'm going to stop for any Q&A that we may have. And if you don't have any questions, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful Mardi Gras holiday. Stay safe, eat king cake, eat crawfish. That's what I've been telling everyone. I'm food motivated.
I have a question.
Yes.
Dr. Boone. Last semester I had the 2 formal meeting pages, but I was never aware that I needed to turn them in anywhere. I had uploaded documentation for hours and all of my reflections, but I have those. I didn't know where to turn them in, and no one ever asked for them, so I just kept them.
Claire, just like this form that I showed you earlier is digitized now. In some conversations that we've been having recently just about the program and keeping track of records and things like that, we've decided to digitize those as well. So I'm so glad that you brought up, I really wasn't sure where. You're not the only one like that. So that's been identified as an area of need. And we know that if we can digitize it, that's going to be an easier place to just kind of keep that house. So thank you for letting me know you need to turn those in. And I'll be following up in an email for collection of those. But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question. I have two questions.
Sure.
One, so mentor certification's no longer a part of this program. Is that
It is. It's mentor 1, not 2. So
okay? So when
you'll still do mentor 1 in term 4 the fall. You just won't do mentor 2.
okay, so but it still gets you that extra. Okay,
Yes,
that
ma'am. Yes,
I was
ma'am.
like, what happened? And I've been
No.
waiting. I brought up with Miss Julie Span about getting some sort of reimbursement because they're advertising that for teachers who are not in the program. I'm like, well, if I'm getting the certification, can I get
Yes.
anybody for it?
Yes, I
Okay,
want
so it's
all.
like,
I want all the bells and whistles. Yes, I want all the bells and
okay,
whistles. Yes.
so
No,
perfect.
Maggie, the one that has the stipend attached to it and the one that allows you to like host a student, a teacher resident in the future, that course is still Mentor Teacher 1. I actually teach that one too. I forgot to mention that. I teach that class too. So
okay.
yes, you will definitely have that one. Yes, you will have that one. You just won't have Mentor Teacher 2.
Okay. And then clarification on the leadership hours and the documentation for that. So I just want to make sure I understand correctly. I was under the impression that those hours were baked into everything we are doing. So
They are.
But is it a separate, so everything I've documented, since starting, is there a separate documentation we have to keep track of for that? Or
Eventually, and this is the piece that
that y'all are building?
Yeah, this is the piece that Dr. Robichaux and I were talking about earlier. There is actually a specific form that's required by LDOE where you carefully list everything.
So we have it all. We just have to format it okay. I was like, wait a minute. Have I been supposed to be doing extra stuff throughout this last semester?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. You may not have all of the 240 hours, but you will have a lot of them. Very, very many. Depending, as Dr. Leverton was saying, kind of depending on what your action research project is, determines how you can count some of them.
Hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we do front load all of our year 1 courses. They are robustly front loaded with activities that you can count toward that leadership piece.
Okay.
Well, for example, I can speak to 608. Every second of field experience directly aligns with the 240 clock hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just when we get to the research, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. 511 is the same way. That's 50 hours in 511, and you get to count every single thing that you do there. The one that you're taking right now, the 690 course, I think 20, 25, something like that of those you can count. So they're
in there.
They're in there. They're in there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had that question too. So right now we should kind of go through all of our courses until graduation to kind of make sure they add up to the 240.
Oh no, they will add up to 200.
Is that what you were saying? Like just
there are 240 field experience hours embedded in the program. They have to align with Bulletin 125. So what Dr. Benoit and Dr. Robichaux have been discussing is basically mini meetings, MINI, not MANI, showing you guys how to take what you've reported and align it for what has to be turned into the state. Does that clarify it?
Okay.
Yeah, the hours are there.
Yeah.
Just making sure you named them the right thing. Like, these are all the things we did. Okay, but that's this one sentence in alignment here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I understand.
Did I make that better or worse? Sometimes
better. You made it better. You made it better. So Raven, like for example, right now you put your hours, you record it on the log for us. You record it on the log. And there's, you get credit for what you're doing in your field experiences. What we are saying is that right now, though, in our program, we already have connected those to codes in 125 that are competencies that you have to prove. But the piece of it that we want to make more transparent and easier for y'all is we want to show you how to take it from what you're turning in from us to what you have to do for the state. And so that's where, as Dr. Leverton was saying, the MINI, like a little mini, it would be basically like a little workshop. It's not something that you need to be doing right now at all. You just collect your field hours as your professor is telling you to. But at some point, we would like to give you an opportunity to actually look at the real document that's required by LDOE and walk you through how you can use your own field experience hours and what you personally did in those field experience hours to flesh out and what they want to see, the documentation that LDOE wants. So you don't have to do that at this point. It's embedded in the coursework, and we just want to create like a little a workshop that would show you guys how to do that. Because more and more of you are interested in it, which I'm glad, because we need good leaders. So I'm excited. Any other?
I had a question.
Sure.
I had a question. Okay. So I wrote down the numbers for the classes to replace Mentor 2. And I just wanted to respectfully, put it out there. If there's any way we could look at maybe a leadership class opportunity or an additional law class opportunity or a special education class opportunity, with the intention of helping to prepare for that leadership praxis exam. I just wanted to put it out there if it could be considered.
What great ideas. Dr. Leverton, we have good stuff to bring back to the powwow.
We do, and some of those things are already in discussion. They just have not, like literally this semester, they are part of a bigger discussion. But right now, this is what we have that fits. So for the moment, this is what we offer. You guys will not circle back around to that class, though, until spring of, this is 26, so spring of 27. I can't rule out that there might be a possibility that something else may be available. But for right now, this is what we have. You are the first cohort in the 7 years that I've been here that's gotten to have even one elective. So,
yeah.
But it is in process.
But we hear you, and we also understand the value of what you're requesting, and we hear you. And like as Dr. Leverton said, you're not off base in your requests. It's already come up. It's just a matter of figuring out how we can put it in a way, because we can't just stick stuff willy-nilly. We actually have to follow the law, like accreditation and stuff like that. I mean, can't just stick stuff. I wish we could. But yes, we hear you. I hope we're able to make it in time for you guys. We may not, and so I don't want to give you false hope, but we hear you. Anyone else?
I have a question about field experience hours. They're not considered double dipping with my residency hours, are they?
No.
Okay.
Because I specifically know, Hannah, because I know the classes that you're taking and the activities, the assignments that you're having to do for those classes are not dependent on your being a resident in that room. Like it just happens to be at the same time. They are not double dipping. In fact, I'm sure you wish that you could bring all of your academically gifted work to your residency site and just do homework all day for your grad. But I know that's not what you're doing. I know you're actively involved in that class.
Okay, I have one more question. I'm sorry.
No.
I really appreciate you giving the research, action research, and I appreciate what Dr. Jowers had to say and Dr. Lebreton. This may be a wild question, and I've talked to Dr. Simpson extensively. We're sort of becoming close friends with all my questions. But is there a list of like topics that had been done, like even just a few more, like or is there a list of things that maybe one or two that didn't work out that we could see? Or like if I email you based on my concentration, I'm just really curious because I feel like my brain is going in 20 different directions with this
Yeah.
project
That is
and I'm just curious. I kind of don't know how to rein it back in.
Sure.
Dr. Benoit, do you mind if I?
No, go for it.
Okay, one, you do have a list. That's what's on the slides. We just kind of skipped through really quickly.
Yeah.
Those have been completed. They have all met criteria to complete the program with their master's degrees. Okay. The whole purpose of 601 when we get started, the beginning part, is for you to be able to narrow down your thinking. Okay.
That makes me feel better.
What I would recommend right now that is, as you're going and doing, kind of look at, you're in transformational teaching and learning, right? Look at, okay, are we using stuff effectively? What do we see here? And you can start looking at existing research now. Current existing research would be anything published since 2020. Okay. And you can look at what's out there, what's been done. Google Scholar, the library does still have some journals available through the library database here at McNeese. JSTOR offers free access to a lot of research, but simply,
ProQuest. That's people's.
thank you. Yeah, ProQuest. But look at some of the existing research that was done in the last 5 years.
Can I jump into?
Absolutely.
Um, you're in a school right now, currently?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
teach at Jennings Elementary
Think
School.
of think about everything that you gripe about or your coworkers gripe about. You have to turn yourself into like an investigator. Like we are always a lot of times when we're in the schools where we get bogged down with all the things and we start having this deficit mindset. You have to figure out now in this role as you're thinking about your research topics, how could we improve it? Like what are the causes behind these things? Like how did we get here? How it's not just a trend in my school, it's a trend in a whole bunch of people. All of my teacher friends are saying the same thing. So anything that you feel like you really bothers you, try to be an investigator and figure out, is that a common thing or is it just a here thing? And what are we doing that's contributing to it? And then look into that. That's how I kind of got started. But I'll tell you, I wrote my dissertation on self-efficacy because I was having problems with my feelings of do I have the capacity to be able to do this? So I made it personal to me too. So as you're thinking about things, don't be afraid to make it personal to you.
Okay, both of that helps tremendously. Thank you both so much.
Can I jump in on that one too? I wanted to piggyback off of what Dr. Giles just mentioned when she mentioned about what seems to be bothering staff members. For me, working on a dissertation, we looked at too, like what are some of the trends or some of the things that are happening to cause issues with students. Like a lot of teachers say, I can't get my kids to read, I can't get them to understand this math, no matter what I've done instructionally, intervention wise. So like looking at across the campus, what are some of the things that's not helping you, the school or maybe the team push the needle or push the student achievement, or if you see a high rate of students who are constantly getting in trouble socially, emotionally, the high rate. So what are we doing, or what we've tried these things, or what is research saying right now that we could possibly do that we might not be doing? So, and ProQuest is definitely a good spot to go. Type in your word and you get tons to look at.
Perfect. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate all the feedback. It kind of calms my nerves.
Good. That was our purpose for tonight. Just kind of give you guys an opportunity to recalibrate. You kind of been in the thick of the work now. So the honeymoon period is over, but we also want you to see there's also some really great, cool ways to personalize this coming up. So that's what we wanted you guys to see in the meeting tonight. Dispositions that, you want to make sure you're on top of things, but also at the same time, it's fun. It's fun. So, well, okay, friends, I hope everybody found the meeting informative. And Claire, thanks for sharing that, it kind of relieved some of your thoughts and stress about it. And we also got some really great anecdotal feedback about, some things that you would like to see or incorporate in the program. We don't know if we'll be able to make all of them happen, but we're gonna look for some magic wands around here. So again, y'all have a wonderful break. Thank you to my colleagues who were able to join at such last minute. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for the input. Y'all are the best. I say it all the time, but it's true. Thank y'all.
You did a great job, Dr.
you.
Benoit.
Thank you so
Awesome
much,
job.
Dr. Jowers. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
good
And
job.
Dr. Leverton.
Yeah, I know. My expert, my little owl on my shoulder saying, "Did you remember? Did you think about?" No, I did not. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We never hang up until everybody else hangs
I'm
up.
trying.
That went very, very well, Dr. Benoit. Very cool.